Welcome back to With Karen D, the podcast, the place where we get real about one thing. The fact that good things do not come to those who wait. Good things come to those who go out and get them. Now, today we're going to talk about something that is quietly costing a lot of smart, capable, talented people opportunities, costing them respect and costing them their influence. And here's what we're going to talk about: how you sound when you speak. Not your intelligence, not your level of experience or your degrees, not even your big ideas, your delivery. My friend, your delivery is everything. Listen, there's a lot of brilliant people out there in the world, and they are still being overlooked. If the way that you communicate sounds unsure, if it sounds like you're hesitating, or if it sounds overly apologetic at all, people won't take you seriously. They'll simply overlook you. When we talk about confidence in communication, it has nothing to do with using big words or talking more. And so many people think this all the time. I don't care if you're a linguist. It has nothing to do with that at all. It's all about sounding self-assured, grounded, and clear in what you say. You have to sound like you believe what you're saying. And the fact is, most people have picked up habits over, for some people, years, for some people, decades, that literally dilute their clout. It dilutes their authority and the ability for them to command attention without them even realizing it. So today, I'm going to walk you through 7 things you need to stop saying and what to say instead. Everyone, welcome to my room. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you make sure that you subscribe to my podcast and turn on the notification so you can know every time we drop a brand new episode. So let's jump in. 7 things to stop saying and what to say instead. And the other piece that a lot of people don't talk about is why it changes how people hear you, why it changes how people receive you, and why it changes how people perceive you. Now, before I jump into the 7 phrases, I want to talk about this foundational piece. When you speak, whenever we speak, people aren't just listening to your words. They're reading your certainty. Do you sound like you're knowledgeable on what you're talking about? They're also reading your clarity. Does it sound like you're making it up as it comes out of your mouth? And is it hodgy-podgy? Is it rambling? And they're reading one more thing. They're reading your emotional steadiness. Do you sound like you believe, once again, I'll say it, what's coming out of your mouth? Or are you nervously chipping away? Or do you sound unsure? Essentially, it's this. Your language either supports your authority or it takes away from it. It shrinks it. So when it comes down to commanding a room and confidently speaking, it's all about alignment, making sure that your words match your level of confidence and match your level of capability that you already have. So let's do it. The 7 phrases you need to stop saying. The first one is this: stop saying, I just wanted to say, I just think, I just have a quick idea. When you say the word just, you immediately minimize what you're saying. You minimize your message. And here's what it tells people. It tells them what I'm about to say is small, it's unimportant, or it's not worth your full attention or listening to. So here's what I want you to say instead of the word just. I want you to keep it clean and say it clean. I want you to remove the word just altogether so it sounds something like this. I have an idea. You know what? Here's my recommendation. Or I'd like to share something. And here's why it works. You are removing the apology, that word just, from your voice and stepping into direct, confident expression. You directly saying what you're going to say without prefacing it with just, which can look like an apology before you speak. Think about it. Think about one of the last times you're sitting with a group of people and someone had an opinion where they were overly using the word just. And then think of someone else who was really direct with what they were saying. And it sounded like, you know what, they knew what they're saying, they knew what they were talking about. Who did you actually want to follow? Like, who would you follow into another room? The person using just, or the person who sounded 100% certain of what they were saying? Of course, we all know the answer. The person who sounded confident. I remember, well, not even remember, I still have a client that I'm working with, and they sit at a lot of senior tables. And the way they were delivering when they presented, and the reason I know this is I look at my clients' recordings of them in action, but nonetheless, they were using just all the time right before they said anything, even when they were presenting. And they didn't realize that this was habitual for them. And what they saw when we replayed the video and they were looking at it with me, it showcased them as being perceived as really weak in what they were saying. It had them showing up as unsure, right? And they saw that when they continually used the word just, people were all of a sudden taking out their phone. They were presenting, but no one was listening. And this person was a senior leader. So this one shift of removing the word just shifted everything for them. They had more clout. They commanded more attention. Like, that's what's possible when you remove that one word. Number 2, stop saying sorry when you're not actually apologizing. So what I'm saying is this: if you did something wrong, please do be genuine and apologize. But for the most part, and for a lot of people, saying sorry is something we're conditioned to do from a young age. We've been taught as children to say sorry. Say sorry to our siblings, say sorry at school for things we've done wrong, even if it wasn't necessarily our fault. Just think about it. And I'll talk on behalf of myself. I remember being in elementary school and something happening, and one person would cry or be upset, and the teacher would come over, and everyone had to say, "I'm sorry." And I remember at times saying I'm sorry because I had to, like, this person in authority was telling me to say I was sorry, but it wasn't even my fault. Like, I literally didn't do anything. We've been groomed to say I'm sorry, right? And I'm sure that we've all been told at one point, do as you're told and don't answer back. I know it's not me alone who's been told that. Now, as we get older, that what's happening, or what has happened for a lot of people, is that's manifested itself into feeling like you always need to apologize because you're likely to be blamed anyway. And this is for some people, not all, but a lot of people. We're also conditioned to believe that acceptance from the world around us is based on how polite we are. And because of that, we look at our fault in ourselves before we look at others. We're always asking, what did I do wrong? Apologizing has become pretty much an ingrained response for a lot of people. Something we've learned over time, and it has now become the subconscious way that we show up. Now, added to that, as women, we're conditioned to be apologizers. We are the peacemakers. We're the nurturers. And whatever else we may have going on in our lives, we somehow have to be perfect. The thing is, apologizing, specifically when you don't need to, is a form of people pleasing. And you're ultimately just chipping away at your own confidence and at your own self-esteem. I'm going to say it again. If you find yourself overly saying, I'm sorry, that's a form of people pleasing. And we're going to talk about that in another episode, but not today. We're going to keep it moving. So, for example, sorry, quick question. Sound familiar? Sorry, can I add something? Does that one sound familiar? Sorry, I might be wrong. Or, sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm a little bit late. We overuse sorry as a filler word. And when you apologize unnecessarily, here is what you communicate to other people. And here's what those people listening receive. They receive, I'm an interruption. I'm unsure. I fully don't belong in this space. Over apologizing erodes your authority. Like, it signals low self-confidence, and it makes your contribution, no matter where you are, seem less valuable. Here's what I want you to say instead. I have a question. Remove the sorry. I'd like to add something. Not sorry, I'd like to add something. Here's another perspective. And this one's big. I find a lot of people apologize when they're running late. Sorry for running late. Well, you really didn't do anything wrong. You're late. Instead of that, you can or consider saying, thanks for your patience or thanks for waiting. Remove the sorry. When you remove the sorry, you sound grounded, you sound intentional, not apologetic for existing. Never forget, you belong in every room that you're in, and you do not have to have all the answers to belong there. It's huge. You do not have to have all the answers to belong in whatever rooms that you're in. Now, let me give you a few steps so you can get to this place of completely removing the word sorry when you speak. The first step in challenging your inner, I call it your inner apologizer, is to start noticing when you're apologizing for things that aren't your fault or when it's totally unnecessary. If you find yourself saying sorry a lot, I want you to ask yourself these questions. The first one is this: do you even notice when you're saying sorry so much? Or does it just roll out of your mouth or off your tongue? Are you really sorry? Or are you just saying it because you think it's what's expected of you? Next question. Do you actually need to be sorry? Is this a situation where sorry is warranted? Next question to ask yourself. What exactly are you sorry for? When you ask yourself these questions, you often surprise yourself and find out that you don't need to be apologizing at all. I mean, 0%. That's just become your automatic, subconscious, habitual response. Now, once you've built that awareness, because you can't shift, you can't change what you can't acknowledge, I want you to start pausing before you say sorry out of your mouth and simply say what you're going to say. Remove the sorry. I promise you that's not going to happen overnight, but now that you're aware, you can start to remove it. It will take practice. Yes, it will, but it's 100% doable. Got it? Next, stop saying, I think, when you already freaking know. Stop saying, I think we should. I think this might be. If it's your professional opinion, you do not need to soften it. If you know, just say it. Here are some things that you can say instead. I recommend. My assessment is blah, blah, blah. Based on what I found out or based on the data, the best direction is. I want you to be direct with your communication. There's no need to soften it up with, I think. Share your thoughts. Share your thoughts with your chest. They're just as important as everyone else's. When you do that, you shift from simply sharing your opinion to sharing something, no matter what it is, with authority. And that's how people receive you. Next one. Stop saying, does that make sense? Now listen for a moment. I'm still working on this one because I also say it from time to time. But this one is huge. If you've ever said this at the end of your statement, so something like, you've spoken, you've shared something, then you finish it with, does that make sense? What you're really communicating to the people who are listening is, I'm not sure how well I explained this. We are virtually second guessing what we just said while in front of people. Here's what I want you to say instead. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to clarify any part of what I've just shared. Why you need to do this? Because you then assume and own clarity instead of questioning what you just said. So when we question what we've just said through saying it, we throw that in people's mind. And they, instead of listening to what the crux of what we've shared, they start to question what we've said with us because we're questioning ourselves. The next one. Stop over-explaining your point. Does this sound familiar? Some of you give 5 paragraphs when one sentence is all that's needed. Have you ever been guilty? I think we all have. But here's why we do it. We do it because we want to make sure that people understand and because we want to protect ourselves from being questioned. But here's what I'm telling you. I want you to stop it. Over explaining actually makes you sound less confident. It actually makes you sound like you're justifying or defending what you just said, and you don't need to. Instead of doing that and carrying on with 3 to 4 to 5 paragraphs instead of a sentence, here is what I want you to do, a little bit of a framework. I want you to state your point. Then I want you to pause. Then I want you to say something like, here's a recommendation. I want you to pause again and then allow people to ask questions if they need more information. Stop sharing more. If they need more from you, allow them to ask. That's a power move. And here's why it works. Confident communicators do not rush to defend themselves. They say what they say and allow the questions to come in, if any. The next one, stop saying, this might be a stupid question. Nothing good ever follows that sentence. When you say that, you are preempting or pre-programming the room to see what you have to say as less valuable. Stop it. Here's what I want you to practice saying instead. Here's a question. Can we clarify this part? Stop declaring what you have to say as being stupid. What we say is what people receive. When we say something like, here's a question, or can we clarify that part? You remove the judgment and you keep your personal credibility intact. Don't allude, don't infer that what you say or what comes out of your mouth is stupid. People will receive it that way. Next, stop saying, I'll try. I so dislike this one. In truth, you don't really try. You either do something or you don't. Because think about it this way. Okay, I'm going to try this food. I'm going to try, let me see. I'm going to try escargot, right? Snails, smothered with butter and cheese. But nonetheless, okay, I'm a foodie, right? Nonetheless, I'm going to try escargot. That's not really true. I'm going to have escargot because if you're in the act of trying it, you're actually doing it. So you're either doing something or you're not doing something. I want you to remove that language try. Stop saying, I'll try to get that done. I'll try to make it. I'll try is not commitment. It is uncertainty. Here's what I want you to practice saying instead. I will have it done by Friday. I want you to commit. I want you to declare. I want you to state what you're going to do and remove the word I'll try altogether. So I'll have it done by Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or I won't be able to complete it by Friday, but I can have it done by Monday or can have it done over the weekend. Clear commitment builds trust and authority. Got it? When it comes to these 7 shifts, it all boils down to this one thing. It's you owning your voice. You don't need to sound aggressive to show up and speak up with confidence. You don't need to sound dominant. You need to sound clear. You need to sound grounded in what you're saying, and you completely need to sound self-assured. All of that comes from knowing your value. All of that comes down to trusting your own thinking and allowing yourself to take up space in a conversation. Stop trying to get it out quickly. Stop trying to ramble. Confidence in communication is not about being the loudest voice. It's about being the clearest and most self-assured voice in the room. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. What to say when you don't know? I get this question all the time. They're like, Karen, I'm a pretty good presenter and I'm good at, going back and forth and answering questions. But here's when I get stuck. When I don't know, when I truly don't know the answer, that's when I feel like I ramble. That's when I stutter. Sometimes I freeze. So let's address this thing that holds people back from sounding confident. That whole fear of not knowing everything. I want to tell you something. You are not put on this earth to know everything. You do not need to know everything to sound confident. Truly, the most respected leaders out there and high performers that I work with, or just in general, and I think you'll see it when I say it. They are just as confident when they say, you know what, I don't have an answer, as they are when they know the answer. You can simply say it this way, and it can be the simple, I don't know, but here's what I'll find out. Here are some other ways or some other confident ways for you to say, I don't know. I don't have that information right now, but I'll follow up with you. That's a really great question. I'll look into it and I'll get back to you. Another way, I don't know yet, but here's how I'm thinking about it, or here's where I think here's the direction I'll be going in. Here's what I want you to do, my friends. Perfection is not needed. You don't need to know everything. You show confidence by being honest. And here's why it works. It shows ownership. It shows honesty. And it showcases that you're willing to be a problem solver, a team player. That is real confidence. Pretending to know everything and making crap up as you go along, my friend, that is insecurity. Here is what I want you to do as we're getting ready to close out this episode. I want you to pick 2 of these phrases that you use often. Just 2. Not all of them, just 2. And I want you to intentionally and consciously replace them this week. That's it. Pick 2 phrases and replace them this week. And once you feel like it's a new habit and it feels like your new normal, then you move on to another 2. Nothing gets solved in 24 hours. This takes work. It takes me work. It takes my clients work, but it's all doable. It's doable for me and it's doable for you too. Confidence is built through small, repeated shifts, small, repeated actions, and the ball's now in your court. The reality is that your voice is one of the most powerful tools out there and that you have. And when your words match your capability, your entire presence shift. It shifts immediately. People listen to you differently. They hear you differently. They trust you more. They take you seriously. That's what happens when you're confident in how you show up, knowing that you are just as confident when you don't know as when you do know. So remember this, you don't need more knowledge. You don't need cleaner delivery. You don't need to be louder. You need to be clearer. And you don't need to know everything. That's the biggest piece I want to leave you with. You just need to speak up with ownership of what you do know. My friend, thank you so much for being here with me on this episode of With Karen D, the podcast. And remember, the most important thing, good things do not come to those who wait. Good things come to those who go out and get it. I'll see you in the next episode. In the meantime, if you know someone who needs to watch this episode, forward it to them. If you have something to share, if there's another phrase that you want me to talk about, or another way if there's a question that you have around managing conversations, whether in social settings or professional settings, make sure to ask in the comment, and I'll see you in the next episode.